Hey guys, Ultra Viper here, and today I'm going to be teaching you how to improve your aim in Valorant. I hope you guys will learn something from this video and be able to use it to rank up and get that rank that you deserve. Currently I'm sitting at Platinum 3 in Valorant, which isn't extremely high, and I'm no pro, but I feel like I'm slightly better than the average Joe. So sit back, relax, and let's jump into this video. Alright guys, so aiming can be broken down into sections. Now these sections are sensitivity, recoil, crosshair placement, reaction time, movement, and flicking. Today I'm going to be focusing on some of the above topics and others below. The other ones I'm going to be focusing are practice on programs like Aim Labs and Kovac, chair and desk height, when to ADS, when to hip fire, when to one tap, when to burst and spray, and in the future videos that I'm going to be making in-depth guide on how to flick, move and movement properly, game sense, being consistent and being able to adapt to stressful situations in game. So there'll be some future videos coming out in the future, so hopefully you guys enjoy this video and let's get into it. Okay, first up with games like CSGO and Valorant, there are a couple of different ways to move your mouse to actually be able to aim. The first is when you actually move your whole arm to aim, so this is when you would do something like this action, and then the other is when you would move just your wrist. This is much better if you're just flicking to someone like that, but you want to be able to become fluent in both these actions and perform them subconsciously with quite quick speed. So what you want to be able to do is you want to be able to move your wrist and your arm at the same time, like this. The problem with this is at some point you're gonna get so far, so you need to be able to reset. So you got to always find a center point. So for me this is right about here, and what I'll do is if I was moving like 180, I would do that, lift and move, lift and move. You always want to have your mouse centered at some kind of form like this. If you don't do this, you're going to end up with your arm here crooked, or the other way, where your arm's going that way, and this is going to put a strain on your arm, your shoulder, or your wrist. So you don't really want to be doing that. You want to just make sure that you reset. So you need to be able to find a sensitivity that suits your play style, i.e. what role do you play. AWPers commonly have a high sensitivity so that they can flick to different enemies quicker. So you need to be able to choose a sensitivity that works for you and stick to it. Don't constantly change when you feel like your aim isn't on point for a day or so, if you know what I mean. So just pick a sense, and just stick to it, be consistent. For me, I feel like your sensitivity on the lower side is better due to the fact that you have more control over your aim and your movements. The higher your sensitivity is, I feel the more jittery your aim's going to be. So if you can get used to a lower sensitivity, I feel like that's going to be better for you in the long run. Obviously it's going to take some time for you to get used to it, but my current sense at the moment is 800 DPI and 0.35 in game on Valorant at the moment. It took me about a week and a half, 2 weeks to try and get the aim relatively good. It's still not great, but I can always improve. But yeah, I feel like that's a good sense for me at the moment. There's some programs that are great for practicing reaction time, speed, flicking, all those kind of things. It's called Aim Labs or Kovac. You've probably heard of them before, but Aim Labs is currently free on Steam, whereas Kovac, I think you have to buy it. They're both great for getting better at shooting games in general, but I feel like, it's good to practice, for an hour or so, but I wouldn't go any more than that, but I'll get into that in a second. My current high score in grid shot in Aim Labs at the moment is 90,000 with about 92% accuracy and 230 millisecond reaction time, which I think is decent. Let me know what you guys down in the comments below, what your high score is. I'd love to know. And I've only been doing it for about 2 weeks, so I feel like my aim has actually improved by about 20% just from practicing with Aim Labs and getting that muscle to mind connection. Going back on what I said before, Aim Labs is great, able to play like subconsciously without even thinking about it. But as I said before, you don't want to be practicing for more than 1 hour at a time. as your central nervous system that works with your muscles to form muscle to mind connections will get drained and not be able to perform at 100% capacity after a while. It's like any other body part. It gets tired, you know. So I'd take a break for 2 or 3 hours and then come back and practice again, or wait till the next day, practice again. As long as you do it, you know, once every 2 days, you know, you're going to build up that muscle to mind connection, and you're going to become more fluent in those actions. So I feel like this is a really good way to practice and just get better in aiming in general. So yeah, give it a try, guys. So unlike CSGO, recoil in Valorant is really unreliable. Like, it's not great. Like, after a few bullets, or the first 3 or 4, it's completely random and can't be learned. Whereas CSGO, they had fixed recoil patterns, so you could kind of learn them over time. But yeah, I wouldn't recommend spraying in this game unless you're like really close to an enemy, or you're at a specific time in which it's right to spray. But for the most part, I wouldn't. I think the way to go is bursting, as the first 3 or 4 bullets in Valorant are accurate and not random. So aim for the head and burst away, guys. I think that's the best way. Just practice those bursts. I think it's the best way to get kills, personally. Obviously, I'm not a pro, but I feel like that's the best. You can also one-tap, which is good for guns like Vandal, Sheriffs, as they are one-tap kills to the head at most distances, and can provide quick, cheeky kills. When to one-tap, I would say from peeking a corner, and you just quickly peek, shoot once, peek back again. Those are kind of really good ways to one-taps. Or if you're behind someone, and you know, or they're standing still, cheeky one-taps, those kind of things. I'll get more in depth into this in another video, but yeah. Next up on the agenda is hip firing and ADS, or aim down sights. For me, and for most people, I think the best thing is to hip fire. I think it's much better than ADS. Although there are some instances in which ADS could be used or utilized, and may be better, like when you're holding at an angle at long distances, or when you're peeking a corner, you know 100% a person is behind, and pre-aiming. The reason I don't like ADS is it actually adds a 60 millisecond time in which you have to wait before you can shoot the target. And if the target is hip firing, they will most likely get the first shot off and be more likely to kill you. Although that time isn't a huge amount of time, like it's quite minuscule, 60 milliseconds. Every millisecond helps in these types of games. Just having that slight advantage may or may not get you the kill, but I feel like, yeah, hip firing is just the way to go in this game. Another big thing in games like CSGO and Valorant is crosshair placement. Like, you need to be aiming where they're going to be. You need to learn corners, you need to learn high traffic areas, you need to be pre-aiming at head height. You need to be ready for any engagement on any enemy at any time, because if you're not, they're going to be, and they're going to kill you. I find that a lot of new players will look at the ground, as this gives them more of a visual of the screen, because their gun kind of blocks it a little bit. But for the most part, you always need to be aiming where you think the enemy is going to be. You're going to be tracing corners, you need to be aiming at the head. It just gives you a much better chance at actually getting kills and killing the enemy first. So yeah, I'll be doing a more in-depth video on how to actually do this, but for the most part, just aim at the head, guys. Practice. So when you're coming into Ascent, if we're actually like looking at crosshair placement, so you want to be like checking this corner, for example, and then you want to kind of just make sure that there's no one here. So you'd do a little peek here, obviously, and then you'd flick around and check here, you check here, you check there. You know, you want to be checking all these corners, making sure there's no one there, kind of thing. Obviously my placement isn't great, but it could still be better. Obviously you want to check there, got this kind of thing. You want to be checking all these corners. I can still improve, but yeah, for the most part, this is kind of what you want to be doing. You want to be like checking corners, aiming at head height, for example. One important thing that a lot of people miss is your arm placement and your chair and your desk height. For me at the moment, if I'm sitting on my desk, you want your arms to be 90 degrees from your body, and you want that to be just so that it's perfect on top of your mouse. So if you look here, right now, I'm 90 degrees, my elbow is 90 degrees. and it literally just slides onto my mouse. Of course, you can see I'm sitting on a pillow, so that because my chair, it doesn't actually go up any higher. But yeah, you want your chair height and your desk height to be perfect, because this will increase your aim and reaction time and place less tension on your shoulder, arm, and your body in general. So yeah, I find that's a really good way to improve your aim. I'll be making a video in the future on how to be more consistent and how to be a more consistent player, how to have great or better game sense than what you already are, how to have a better reaction time, and how to adapt to stressful situations. I'll be making a video on this at some time in the future. So anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video on how to improve your aim. I hope you learned something from it. If you didn't, let me know in the comments. If I could do anything better, just let me know. I'm learning like you guys are. Every day I'm improving. So yeah, and I'll see you guys next time. Viper out.